Hello crocheters, so today we're going to be making this top. It's a mesh top. As you can see, it has spaces, but you can still make it without spaces if you want to. So for me, I made it as a cover up. You can use it as a cover up. You can make it the hole smaller so that you can just use it as a shirt. It is a unisex shirt, so let's make it. And this is the yarn I'll be using. So I'll also be using a 3mm hook. This is because the yarn I'm using is really thin, so make sure you're using a yarn that is with a hook that is recommended for that yarn. And the difference with the one I usually use for most videos is that, as you can see, the medium weight is quite thicker than the one I'm using today. Like this one is quite thicker. So this one I usually use a 4mm hook, but then this one I use 3. So this one you can use 4 or 5. This one you can use like 2 or 3. So that is why today I'm using 3mm hook. But that doesn't matter because we'll be measuring. So make sure you take your measurements so that as we go, you just don't like copy the rows or the number of like chains I make, because at times I can make 100 chains, but then when you take that measurement with the other measurement for the chunky yarn or for a medium weight yarn, it won't turn out the same. So make sure you use a tape measure. So for the tape measure, we are going to take our measurements. So we're going to take our bust measurements, and let me just make a sketch of a shirt. So the measurements you're going to take your bust measurements. And for this, if you want the top to be really like tight, you can just use your bust measurements for the project. But then if you want it to be a little loose, what you're going to do, you're going to add about 4 or like 5 or 6 inches so that it can be a little loose, so that it doesn't hold so tightly on your body. So you're going to take your bust measurement, and then you're going to take your measurement from your shoulder to your waist if you want it to reach on your waist. But for me, I'm going to take from my shoulder to around like the butt area. But then you can also take it longer, like from your shoulder to your thigh if you want it to be a little bit longer. So it depends with you. So we're going to take the measurement from your shoulder to where you want your top to reach, and that is what you're going to use to make our chains, because our top is going to move from side to side. Most of the time when you're working on clothes, usually move from down to up, but then for our top, you're going to move from side to side. That is why when you're making the chain, the chain is going to be as long as from your shoulder to your waist, or whichever length you want for your top. So I'm going to make a chain of 130, which is equivalent to 28 inches. So my measurement from shoulder to around just below the waist is 28 inches. So I'm going to make a chain of 130, which is equivalent to that 28 inches. So after making a slip knot, you're going to make a chain of 130. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So after I get 130 chains, we're going to start working on our first row. So you're going to hold on to that last chain, and then you're going to chain 2. After chaining 2, you're going to make a double crochet on the third chain, and then you're going to work double crochets until the end of this row. So you're going to work double crochet in each chain until you get to the end of this row. And then when you get to the last double crochet, you're going to make a double crochet on the last one. Now you have a total of 130 or whichever number of double crochets you're working with. So after that, you're going to chain 4. And now you're going to work 1 2 3 4. We're going to work a row whereby we have we're going to skip spaces. So on the row you're skipping spaces, you're going to chain 4 when you're starting, but on the row of double crochets you're going to skip 2 when you're starting. So after skipping 4, you're going to turn your work, and then you're going to skip 2 chains, so 1 2, and then on the third chain you're going to make a double crochet. After that you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and on the third chain make another double crochet. And that is going to be our pattern: chain 2, skip 2, then a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and then you do a double crochet. So as you can see, we did chain 4 so that chain 2 can work as a double crochet, and the rest of chain 2 can work as chain 2, skip 2. Yeah, that's why we did chain 4 at the beginning. So at the beginning of all this row of spaces, you're going to chain 4 at the beginning, and then when you continue, you just chain 2, skip 2, then you do a double crochet on that third one. This is going to be our pattern for this row. So you're going to do this until you get to the end of the row. So when you get to the end of this row, like for me, you can notice that I have one extra because I've changed. When you chain 2, you're going to skip 2 and then do 1 double crochet on this one, but then you find that you have one extra one. So when you get that you have this kind of a problem, what you're going to do after chaining 2, you're just going to skip 2 normally, and then instead of inserting it on this one, you're going to insert it on the last one, do a double crochet. So if you have let's say you have one less, let's say you only have 2 instead of 4. If you have 2, what you're going to do is you're going to chain 2, skip 1, and then do the double crochet on the last one. If you have 3, you're just going to do it normally, chain 2, skip 2, do it on the third one. But if you have 4, you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to skip 3 and then do it on the last. You're just going to be creative. Like if you're doing like multiple of 3 and find that your chain was not equal to 3, don't be frustrated. You can just be creative about it at the end here, and everything will be okay. Like it can't even be noticed. So after doing that last double crochet, you're going to chain 2. So as we said, in a row of double crochets, you're going to chain 2 when you start. So you're going to do another row of double crochets. So it will be alternating a row of double crochets and a row of spaces, whereby the spaces is double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2. So now we are in the row of double crochets. So this chain 2 acts at the first double crochet, and then where we have the chain 2 spaces, we're going to do 2 double crochets in there, and then where we have the double crochet, we're going to do another double crochet on top of it, and then on the spaces we're going to do 2 double crochets. So we're going to do 2 double crochets in this space, and then 1 double crochet on top of that next double crochet, like that. So 2 double crochets, 1, 2 double crochets, 1, like that. So it's a double crochet on top of each stitch until you get to the end of the row, like that. 2 double crochets in the space, and then 1 double crochet on top of that double crochet over there. And so this is what we're going to do until you get to the end of the row. When you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain 4 and then start a row of spaces. After doing the row of spaces, you chain 2, you do the row of double crochets until you get to half of your measurement. So if your measurement was 40, until you get to 20 inches, because right now we are starting with the back panel. So we are going to be working in 3 panels. You're going to do the back panel, and then you're going to do 2 of the front panels. So the reason as to why right here is slanting is because you're going to do a decrease so that it can bring out the collar nicely. So we'll be doing a decrease in the last rows. So the reason as to why I have these lines here is because you're going to change color and it is not a must for you to change color. If you don't like it, you can just do plain color. Like you can just work from start to the end. Let's say you're doing 20 inches, you can just work the entire 20 inches without changing color if that is your preference. So you're going to continue doing these rows until the end of when you get to 20 inches. But if you are changing color, what you're going to do, if it is the back panel, you're going to divide this back panel into two. Yeah, so yes, as you can see, this side, let's say you're working 20 inches, this side is 10, this side is 10 inches. So when you get to about 5 inches, you're going to change color and then do another 5 inches, another 5 inches, change color, do another 5 inches. So as you can see, what you do here, you do 5 inches, change color, 10 inches, change color, and then 5 inches for the back panel. That is what you're going to do. And then for the front panel, as you can see here, it's half, so it's 10, but then you're not going to do 10, you're going to do about 9, because we want to leave a space in between the two panels so that we can add our like row of buttons and the like button holes. So you're going to do about 9 inches. So when you do here like 5 inches and then you change color, here you're not going to do 5, you're going to do like about 4 or 3.5 so that it doesn't get to the very end. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just trying to tell you this in sketch form so that when you're working, at least you have it in mind. So when you're working on the row of double crochets, when you get to the end, after you've done the last double crochet, the one that is on top of the last double crochet, now on the last space where we had chained 4, we are going to put 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. But then remember, this chain was also a double crochet, so you're going to put the third one on top of the chain like that. And then after that, you again chain 4, 1 2 3 4, and you continue. So when we get on the row of spaces, when you get on the last stitch, so here we're remaining with 3 double crochets, and you want to finish on the last one, so you're going to make a double crochet on top of that chain 2 like that, make a double crochet, and that is how we finished that one of spaces. And now because you're about to start the row of double crochets, I just remember you're supposed to be changing color, because for me I'll be changing colors. If you're not changing colors, you can just continue until you get to the length you're looking for. But then because I need to change color, I'm going to repeat this again. So we are doing the double crochet. When you start pull through 2, you want to pull through the last 2 when you're changing color. What you're going to do, you're going to use the other color to pull through the last 2. So I'll be using this green, so I'll pull through with the green, and then now I'll use this green. You can tighten the yarn by pulling through this other one. So I'll use this green to do the chain 2, 1 and 2, and then I'll turn my work and do a row of double crochets with the green now. So the row of double crochets was 2 double crochets in the space, and then 2 double crochets on top of the double crochet. So as you can see, the yarn I'm using right now is medium weight, so it will look a little bit thicker, but it doesn't affect anything. So I'll continue with the rows of double crochets until I get to the end of this row. So right here you can just tie these 2 and cut your yarn. You can just do a knot, like 1 or 2 knots, and then cut your yarn, because you won't be coming back. So you can cut your yarn because you're going to connect your yarn on the other side. So 1 on top there, and you continue like that. And so when we get to the last 3, so on the last 3, after you've done the double crochets on the double crochet on the last one, what you're going to do is make 2 in the spaces, 2 double crochets in the spaces. That is 1 and 2, and then you're going to make the last one on top of the chain 4, because here the first 2 chains counted as a double crochet. So on top of this one, you're going to make the last one like that, you see. And because we'll be changing color here, we're not going to finish on the last pull through. What you're going to do here, you're going to change color, because you're going to go back to the color we had before. So you're going to use this color to pull through the last 2 like that. And then because you're going to the row of spaces, you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to turn our work and do the row of spaces whereby you're going to skip 2 and then do a double crochet on top of the 3rd double crochet, chain 2 like that. So how you can know you're on track is that the double crochets will always follow each other like that. Like a double crochet will be on top, the ones that we are doing double crochets on the spaces, they'll be on top of each other like that. So that's how you know you're on track. And you're going to continue the pattern like that until we are able to get to the other point here we are supposed to be changing colors. So right here we did 12 rows and then we changed color. So you're going to do another 12 plus 12, then change color, then do the rest 12. What I'm meaning is, when you're using this diagram on the back panel, so the 12 rows is from here until you start changing colors, which for me is like 5 inches, and then you change color. And then the next 12 rows is from here to here, and then we have another one from here to here. So we're going to combine these 12 so that here you have 24 rows, change color, and then we finish with 12 rows. So 12 rows, change color, 24 rows, change color, and then 12 rows. Yeah. So my back panel is finally done. So as you can see, when you start from here, we have 12 rows, which is counting the rows of double crochet. The rows of double crochets are 6. When you combine with the rows of spaces, these are 12 rows. Then I changed color, and then I did 24 rows, whereby if you count the rows of double crochets, these are 12, so 24 rows. And then I changed color again, and then I did another 12 rows. If you're not changing colors, you just combine all of them. Like for me, if it was for me, I would have done this is 24, 48 rows. So I will have done 48 rows if I'm not changing color. So as you can see, the yarn that I was using makes this so light, and it makes it squishy and really easily to stretch. It stretches easily. So this is our back panel. So when you're done with the back panel, let's take the measurements first. So our back panel is about this is 22 inches, and I did 22 inches because I don't want it to be so fitting, like so tight, because I was working with 20 inches, but I'm adding 2 more inches on the back, 2 more inches on the front, so that it doesn't become so tight. So when the back panel is done, you're going to put this aside, and then you're going to work on the 2 front panels. So now you're going to be working on the front panel. So as you can remember, on this side we're working 12 rows, but then on the front panel, after working 12 rows on this side, remember I told you to leave about 2 rows for like making the place where you can put the button and the buttonholes. So here you're not going to work 12, you're going to work about 10 rows. And in these 10 rows, you're going to make sure like 8 of them will be decreasing on the remaining 8 rows. After we've done like 2, the 8 rows are going to be decreasing so that you can have a little bit of slanty. So what I mean is, as you can see here, I've done 12 rows. This is the first part of the front panel, because we have 2 front panels. So I've done 12 rows, and then I've changed color. So I'm supposed to be doing 10 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's hide this one. So you see, I'm supposed to be doing 10 rows. So I'll do this one, and then here I'll decrease on this one, decrease on this one, decrease on this one. You get? So that you can have a little bit of slim. That is what I mean. So after I've done the change of color, and I'm continuing with the row of spaces. So I'm going to do this row of spaces and do another row of just double crochets, and then on the other row of double crochet, that is when I'm going to be decreasing. So I'm going to do a similar row spaces, double crochet spaces, and then on this other double crochet on this side, that is where I'll be decreasing. So I'll see you after I've done 2 spaces. So now we've already done the 3 rows. After the change of color, we've already done the 3 rows. And now because this side we did 12 rows and this side is supposed to be doing a little bit less, so this side are doing 10 rows. So we are first going to do the first 3 and then we're going to decrease on the other. So we are going to do the first decrease. So you chain 2 because this is a row of double crochets, so you chain 2 first, and then on this row you're going to do a double crochet, but you're going to do 2 double crochets together. So you yarn your hook, insert it, pull through 2 like that, yarn your hook again, insert it. Remember in the spaces we had 2 double crochets, pull through 2 and then pull through all 3. So those are 2 double crochets together. We've made those 2 double crochets to be 1 double crochet, and then you're going to do the same thing again. So insert your hook. The next stitch is on the double crochet, so you're going to insert on the double crochet and then pull through 2, and then do it again on the space like that, pull through 2 and then pull through all 3. And then I'm going to do that the last time, so I'm going to do it 3 times. So yarn over, insert your hook on the space, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook on top of that double crochet, pull through 2 and then pull through all 3 like that. So what we've done here, we've done 2 double crochets 2 together 3 times. So after you chain 2, the 2 double crochets that are supposed to be on this space, you make them 1, and then the 2 double crochets, which is this double crochet and then the first one on this space, you make them 1, then the second one on this space with this one, this double crochet, you make it 1. So you have 3 double crochets together like that. So after you're done with those 2 spaces, on the next space you're going to continue as normal. You're just going to do 2 double crochets in that space and 1 double crochet on top of that double crochet like that. We're just going to continue the normal way until you get to the end of this. When you get to the end, you're not going to do anything because you're only reducing at the top. You're not reducing at the bottom. Is going to continue being straight, so you're only reducing at the top. So you won't do this again. You'll go and then come back, and then when you come back with the row of spaces, you also won't decrease. We'll decrease on the next row of double crochet, so we'll only be decreasing on the row of double crochet. So when you come back with the row of spaces, you just finish normally. Then on the row of double crochets we decrease, so you're going to decrease 4 times, and then when you get to the end of the row of double crochets, you're going to chain 4, and then you start the row of spaces. So you're going to just start it normally, just as we were doing, and then I'll see you when we get near the area where we did the decreases. Yeah. So when you're almost at the end, you're just going to check the stitches keenly. So we did the double crochet, so you're going to skip 2, then do 1 here, chain 2, skip 2, then do 1 at the very end, and then chain 2. So as you can see, here we had 1, 2, 3 spaces, and now we have 2 spaces at the end. So we've reduced these 3 spaces into 2. After that, chaining 2, you're going to repeat the same thing. So you're going to repeat it for the second time, and then after that you repeat it like about 2 more times, and you'll be done with the first side of the front panel. So insert, pull through 2, again pull through 2, and then pull through all 3. That is the first one. You do it again in every stitch. So now you start from the double crochet, pull through 2, and then at the space, because the space has 2 stitches at the space, then pull through all 3. And then now we start from the space because we did the first one. Now we have the other stitch on the space. So I've finished one side, so I did the decreases. So this was the row without decrease, and then we did 1, 2, 3 and 4 decreases. So this is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 rows. But the first 2 I did not do a decrease, the first one I did do a decrease, then the other 4 double crochet rows I did decreases. So this is the first side, so I'm going to do this 2 times. So after that, now we're going to join the back panel with the 2 front panels. So we're going to put the right side facing up, and then on the 2 panels you're going to put the right side facing down, and then you're going to join. So when we are joining, as you can see on the areas that we did decreases, there's a slant like this. So you're going to join until somewhere here on the first decrease, then you're going to leave the rest alone, because here you're going to make our neck, and then you're going to do that on the other side. So join on this side until you get to the first decrease, and on the other side too until you get to the first decrease. And then after that you're going to join the sides. So for the sides you're going to join from down until to where your armhole is going to start. So for me, I usually leave about 6 inches. So I'm going to join and then leave 6 inches for the armhole, and then do the same thing on the other side, join and leave about 6 inches for the armhole. With the method of joining, do your preferred method of joining. You can use single crochets, you can use slip stitches, you can use a darning needle, whichever way. If you find that when joining it comes out crooked, that means you missed some stitches. So what you're going to do, if you have this problem, you're going to use stitch markers. So like after every 10 squares you put a stitch markers, after every 10 squares you put a stitch marker, so that you know you're on track, so that you don't miss other stitches. So I'm already done joining this side, so you're going to work on the other side. So like that, and then this right here was the top, so the top part is right here. They should look to on the same side, they should be on the same side, like that. So right here I'm going to use stitch markers. So I'm just going to hold the squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 and 10. Then I put a stitch marker, so that when I get here, this should be the point where these two should be together when I get there. So I do it another time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So if you've already joined, you can just skip ahead. I'm doing this for those people who are finding it hard to join. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, right there. And then remember to leave the armhole on the upper space. So for me, my armhole was about 10 spaces. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. My armhole was about 10 spaces. So right here is where I'm going to insert my yarn. So insert your hook, pull your yarn like that, and then you're going to chain 1, like that. So when you get to a stitch marker, you join where the stitch marker is, you remove it, and continue until you're able to finish the row. So I already joined the top part on one side, so I will be showing you the other side. So on the top part, what you're going to do, make sure the spaces are aligned, so that you join a space on a space and you join a line of double crochet on top of a line of double crochet. Make sure they are aligned, and then you're going to be using single crochet. So you have 2 single crochets in the double crochet row and 2 single crochets in the spaces row. So you do 2 single crochets in every row as you move. So we're going to join our yarn here. Chain 1, then do 2 single crochets here, and then 2 single crochets in the space, 2 single crochets in the double crochet row. So make sure you're doing a double crochet row on top of a double crochet row, yeah, and then 2 single crochets in the space. You do that all the way until you get to the first decrease somewhere there, and then you leave the rest hanging, so that it turns out to be like this until here, and then you leave these ones hanging like that. So after that, you'll fasten off your yarn and then turn your shirt on the right side. This is how it looks. Turn it on the right side. Now you're going to work on the sleeves. So I did a total of 6 rows. That is 3 rows of the double crochet row and 3 rows of the spaces row. So I'm going to show you how I did this on the other side. So you're going to insert your hook at this where you connected the sides. This is where you're going to insert your hook, and if your last row was a row of double crochet, that means the row you're going to start with is going to be a row of spaces. So what you're going to do, you're going to connect it from the inside. So take your yarn, make a slip knot that, and then because you're connecting it from the inside, you're going to go like this, do the row with spaces on the inside, then turn on our work and do the spaces with only double crochets on the outside. So we're going to set our hook right. See, this right here was where our last connection was done, so we're going to connect it just right here. And then you make a chain of 1. Take your time, because sometimes doing the connection is quite challenging, like that. And then after that, because it's a row of spaces, you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then after that, we're going to continue with our pattern. So you're going to make the first one on top of this double crochet here, chain 2, skip 2, and then make the next one on. So the only thing you are following is that the double crochets should always be on the double crochets that are usually on the spaces should always be in line. So you skip 2 and you do another double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2. You are going to continue like that until you get to the other side,
and then just make sure that the double crochets on the spaces are in line. So when you get to the end, after you've done the last double crochet chain 2, you're going to skip 2 again, but because it's only remaining one chain, you won't do it here, you'll just connect. So you'll just find the 1, 2, 3, the third chain over here, and then that's where you'll connect like that and make a slip stitch, and then chain 2 like that. After that, you're going to turn your work, and then now you do a row of double crochets. So you do double crochets in every stitch, just as we did before. Until you get back here. And then when you get to the last stitches, you're going to do your last double crochet, and then you join on top of that, chain 2 right over there, make a slip stitch like that, and then chain 4. So right now we're going to work on the collar. So when it comes to the collar, don't start from this junction over here to make the collar. Make sure you come a little bit lower. I think I can show you that with the work that I'm also currently working on. So you see with this top, the collar has not started from here. It has started from somewhere down here. So just from where this last decrease is, right over here, this is where we're going to start our collar, just the same as this one. We started our collar right here. So you're going to do a row of, let's say, if you want it to be a little bit firm, you can use half double crochets or single crochets, but if you want it to be flappy like, you can just use double crochet. So you're going to go from this corner, go around until the other corner, and then come back again until you get to the length of your collar. Like for example, this one is about 4 inches. So we're going to do the same thing on our shirt. So just start from here, do a row round like that, and end from the last one, end right here, then come again like that. You go like that until you get to the height of your collar. So what you're going to do, because I've already started mine, so this was my chain 2 was my first double crochet, so I'll be using double crochets. So in the space I use 2 double crochets. In the double crochet row I also have 2 double crochets. So in every row I had 2 double crochets in every row. That is what I'm doing. So 2 double crochets there, and then when you get to the space, again 2 double crochets. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this until I get to the other side. I did a total of 7 rows, and this is how it looks. So you measure for about 4 or 5 inches long. So this is how the collar looks. As you can see, this is how it looks. So now you're going to work on this side. So just from where you finished the corner, you're going to make single crochets down, up, then also on the other side, down, up. And then depending on how you like, some people usually like to tie, you can make your tie. And if you like buttons, I'll be showing you how you do the buttons, because I'll be doing the buttons. But then I'll be doing this tomorrow because now I want to go to sleep. As you can hear from my voice, it's really late at night. That's why my voice is so croaky. So we'll leave this here, and then I'll be continuing very soon. So you're going to work on the sides. You're going to determine which side is for the buttons and which one is for the buttonholes. So for the ladies, the buttons are on the left. For the gents, the buttons are on the right. So because the buttons are on the left, we'll work the left side without any holes, and then we'll work on the right side with holes. So you're going to attach your yarn. You're going to attach your yarn on the first stitch. The first stitch where you attached your yarn when you're working on the collar, that's the same stitch you're going to attach your yarn when you're working on the sides like this. So you're going to attach it right here. When you're done with the collar like this, where you did your first stitch on the collar, right there is where you're going to attach your yarn. So like that. And then now in every stitch you're going to work I'm going to use half double crochets, so I'm going to work half double crochets in every stitch until I get to the last stitch down there, and then I'll come up again with half double crochets and do like about 4 rows of that. When you get to the last stitch, you're going to work the last half double crochet, and then you chain 1, turn your work, and then do another row of half double crochets. You're going to do this for a couple of 4 rows. This is the second one. You do this one in 2 more rows. So I've already finished the button side, so you're going to attach your yarn. So you're going to attach it the same point as the other side. So the first row you're going to do is going to be just half double crochets, and then on the second row that's when you're going to make the holes. So just do this row of half double crochets without anything, then I'll show you the second row. We're going to do the last one, chain 1, turn your work. So you're going to make the buttonholes. So we do 10 half double crochets, that is 1, 2, and then 10, chain 2, skip 2, and then you do another 10 again. So this chain 2, skip 2 is your buttonhole, so you can try your buttons to see if it goes through. I'll be using this medium, so you can just be trying it. If it doesn't go through, you make it either smaller or bigger depending on the size of your button, and then you continue, make another 10, that is 1, 2, 3, like that until you get to 10. And get to 10, chain 2, skip 2, like that until you get to the very top. So when you do the last one, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then start doing half double crochets in every stitch. So when you get to the hole, what you do 2 half double crochets inside that buttonhole, and then you continue. So you're going to do this row and then do another extra row after this, and you're done. When you get to the space, 2 half double crochets inside the space, and then you continue like that until the very end. So these are our buttonholes. When you're done, you're going to place your buttons on this side. So you're just going to count the same way. Count 10 stitches, place your button, 10 stitches, place your button, 10, like that until you get to the very top. And I think this is going to look really nice. So we've placed our buttons along. It's ready to wear. Yeah.
If I wrote you a symphony just to say how much you mean to me, what would you do? If I told you you were beautiful, would you date me on the regular? Tell me, would you? Well, baby, I've been around the world.